All right. What is good? What is good? What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, you know who I be, the good doc, Dr. Mike TV, back again, once again with a real one, ladies and gentlemen. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Before we get into it, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, do all of that nonsense. Check the links in the description area below for anything and everything that is the good doc, Dr. Mike TV. Let's go ahead and get into this one. So, I was talking to a homeboy of mine. He does contracting work in the Middle East. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm pretty sure he does okay, financially and everything like that. But we were recently having a conversation, and, given the current state of the world and the current situation that we are all in, he says, you know what, Doug? I was looking for one-way tickets to go back home. And where he particularly is, there's maybe one or two different airlines that would take him out of the country to get him to where he needs to be. And what he was telling me was that they were charging an extravagant amount of money for a one-way ticket flying to wherever he was trying to get to. Now, as we were having this conversation and dialogue, it hit me. Price gouging is a motherfucker. Everybody should know what price gouging is. Basically, during times of crisis and emergency and things, that's when the price of normal things, or what the normal price for certain things would be, it's like tenfold whenever there's a pandemic or a crisis. So, for example, let's say my man was looking to get a one-way ticket out of his particular area. Normally, it was maybe less than $1,000 to get out, but now they were trying to charge him 3 stacks, like $3,000, for a one-way plane ticket to get him out. The reason they were able to do that is simply because they were one of two, if not the only one, that was having flights that were leaving that particular area. Opportunistic as they are, I'm not mad at you for being opportunistic. But Doc can't get behind the idea of price gouging. But what I can also tell you is all price gouging shows me is that it's time for me to get my money up, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get my stacks right. Because when emergencies hit, sometimes you got to be willing to pay the price, regardless of what it is. Don't think for 1 second I'm going to forget that shit. Trust me. If you fuck with me like that, or fuck with my money, and you try to take advantage of me in an emergency situation, I'll never forget it. But please believe I'm going to pay the cost, because if I have no choice in the moment, that's what it is. I'll never forget it, but I'll let it slide. I was not mad to hear about those white dudes who bought 1,800 bottles of sanitizer, put it in their garage, and try to sell it on Amazon. I was not mad at their entrepreneurial, opportunistic spirit. The only thing that pissed me off was the prices in which they were trying to charge people for sanitizer. Everybody knows a normal price for a nice size of sanitizer is probably in and around $5 max. But they were selling small sizes for like $10 and $80, I was hearing. I didn't see it personally, but people were like, they were charging us upwards of like $50 to $80 or something like that. Then they got called. Amazon took their page down, or whatever they were selling. They took it down, and they ended up donating something because they got caught. Again, Doc can never be mad at you for your entrepreneurial, opportunistic spirit in a time of crisis. Sometimes when you know that something is a hot commodity, I'm not mad at you for trying to make a little bit of a dollar. Not mad at you for trying to make a dollar. I'm pissed off when you try to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, how can I say this? That's even a little different. I'm mad at you when you try to take advantage of people, like in the worst way. All right, that's what I'll say. That's the best way for me to put it. So again, back to the conversation at hand, price gouging. If there's one thing that this particular pandemic has taught me, and every life situation has taught me before, you got to have your money up, and you got to have your money right when the time hits. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, when the crisis hit and, you have to take advantage of the stock market and stuff like that, and real estate, stuff like that. This is not that type of video. I'm basically saying, look, people are going to price gouge you when shit hits the fan, okay? Everybody's going to look to take advantage of you. When you're thinking that airline tickets are supposed to be dirt cheap, granted, they are dirt cheap when it's a competitive market. Now, they're in competition with others to try to get people to use their flights at the time because nobody's flying. That's different. But if you're the only one flying, or the only one that can take somebody from point A to point B, by all means, you have cornered the market. Whether it was, of course, it wasn't planned, but whether it happens to be that way or not, that's just the way that it is. And as a person in the situation, and you have a do or die moment where either you gonna do it or you gonna rest on your laurels and say, fuck it, I'm just gonna stay here and ride it out. You got to make a decision, but I don't want you to not make the decision simply because you don't have the money to do so. That's what I will say. I don't want you to sit there and not make the decision because you can't afford to make the decision. As I sit here and enjoy my time here in the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen, I look at flights every day. I'm like, yeah, I look at them. I'll say I'm looking at them. I'm not going to say that I'm getting out. Not yet. Maybe soon, but not yet. So I'm looking at flights and stuff, and I'm seeing prices, and I'm just paying attention because I want to know how much is it going to cost me if I need to get out of here, if I'm trying to get out of here, and when I'm trying to get out of here. I'm trying to see how much it's going to cost me. I'm not necessarily at the point where I'm feeling as if they're gouging the prices, and the reason I don't feel that way is because right now it's still a competitive market. We're talking about flying out of Manila. Come on now, 100 different flights going out that bitch. Well, there was until they locked it down, but there's a lot of flights that are going out. So I'm not really worried about the price gouging here. But for anybody out there in the world today, at the sound of my voice, that is going through this crisis, I know it's hard, people. Trust me. I feel your pain. It might be a little bit less of a pain on myself than it is on you, and I'll never sit there and say that I can feel where you're coming from on all angles and all aspects. You got kids to feed. I can't feel you on that. All right. If you got I got a mean one, but she cooks and she does what she has to do. So, but if you're dealing with a spouse that might, as I was saying, if you're dealing with the spouse that might have, something going on in her life, or maybe she's, dealing with family that might have issues and stuff, there are some things that I'm not going to be able to relate to. But at the end of the day, I think we can all sit here and say, yo, this is something that we're going through as people, not as a nation, not as a country in particular, but as a world. So I kind of feel like if this particular situation has taught me one thing, even though there are prior situations that have taught me the same, time to get my money up, ladies and gentlemen. I think you should follow suit. I'm saying you can take advantage of opportunities as they come if that's how you feel you got to get your cake up. I'm not mad at you for doing that. If you get your little Trump check, it might be a little chump change, but if you take it, flip it, and do something good with it, at least something good came out of it. You understand? If you've found something that you can create and to make your own, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, you got to stack your bread up in these times, people. That's all I'm going to say. Because people are going to price gouge. All right? Again, you can price gouge me all day long. Just remember, I'll never forget that shit. I will never forget it. All right? And I think that the rules apply any way you slice it, ladies and gentlemen. Any way you slice it. But that has been my time. I just wanted to have this conversation with you because I deemed it necessary and I deemed it important. Be prepared for people to price gouge, period. Just prepare yourself for it. You want to know why? Because at the end of the day, you can't stop them. At the end of the day, either you're going to get whatever product or service they're providing, or you're not going to get it. It's that simple. But when push comes to shove, you got to figure it out. Don't let the reason why you have to say no or decline something be because you ain't got the money to do it. And that's been my time, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the Good Doc spitting some gems, and I hope you guys have taken heed. And with that being said, the Good Doc is officially out. At least nako paalam, which means getting the hell up out of here. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Mga kita. Mabuhay. Peace.